Straight ahead, we've got our final weekend of Kentucky Derby Preps, headlined by a Grade 1 in Arkansas. We'll be talking racing across the pond from Liverpool, plus big action coming your way from Japan this weekend. And we're back, of course, with another edition of That Battle, where Jason and I are going to battle it out. We've got that and more coming up on another edition of Racing Around the World, presented by HPI Bet, and it starts right now.
Essential Quality is still driving at him from the outside past the 16th pole. Highly motivated. Essential Quality. What a finish. The champ remains unbeaten. Essential Quality to win it for Luis Saez.
Yes, a big weekend of Derby Preps last weekend and some huge points going up. We'll have an updated leaderboard coming up in a few moments. But first off, I'm Chad. He's Jason. And Porty, the stretch run there of the Grade 1 Bluegrass last weekend, 2-horse race. I know your horse didn't come out on top, but it's about prepping for that first Saturday in May. Your overall thoughts of Highly Motivated?
The result we all expected, right? The champ wins, my horse, solid effort. I just wasn't expecting him to be on the front. Nonetheless, it was still a pretty good prep for that first Saturday that we're looking forward to coming up next month. I don't know what it is about me, Chad, when it comes to Highly Motivated. I know he's 5 for 5, career best, Byron 97 in that win, the Bluegrass. He's kind of the yeah, but horse for me. He'll probably win the Derby, and I'll still be, yeah, but. So I don't know. I guess he looked good doing it. Still not 100% though sold on Essential Quality.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm just wondering when you're going to realize Essential Quality is pretty darn good. Anyway, Bourbonic, too. What a huge upset from him in New York. And that obviously propels him right onto this leaderboard. And we've had some horses dropping out. Jason, Greatest Honor, we heard earlier this week, is not going to be going forward in the Kentucky Derby. But as we look at the points, Essential Quality on top, and, others getting in there. But this is the final weekend for points coming up. And then the fillies, they're all done. Their preps are done.
Yeah, and Concert Tour, by the way, with a win in the Arkansas Derby can become the new number 1. So we'll see what transpires there. But yeah, Chad Brown's filly, their search results, winning the Grade 3 Gazette, or Gazelle, I should say, at Aqueduct. She's now the top dog for Klarovich as well. But we'll keep an eye on that other undefeated filly by the name of Malafat. She's perfect. Yeah. She should be perfect. I mean, she cost $1 million at the sale, but she looked pretty good winning the Ashland. She's 4 for 4. So as much as we're looking forward to that first Saturday in May, I can't wait for that final Friday in this month of April.
Coming up in 3 weeks for that big weekend, just around the corner. We've got another great weekend ahead here on HPI Bet, where you can play along. Sign up if you haven't just yet. You can catch all the action and get your wagers in. And here we start on Friday with Aqueduct getting underway just after noon. Thoroughbred heavy. Get into the evening. We've got quite a few harness tracks, including the Big M. They'll always have a busy slate. A lot of the top horses starting to come back too, Jason. So I like this time of year because we're getting closer and closer to the harness stake season.
It's the perfect blend, right? And of course, this weekend, I'll have my other eye on the Masters, right? So, hey, regardless of the sport you like, there's everything going on. Baseball's back, so you got a little horse racing, a little baseball, a little golf. It's a sport lover's dream. And yeah, tons of action here. And we got to see some big names coming back, as you talked about. Gamine looked pretty good in her return, just strolling to victory, as expected in the last Flores. And yeah, more champions will just keep unveiling every week as we go along.
And week 2 of the Keeneland meet, Friday, they've got the Grade 1 Maker's Mark Mile.
Yes.
The turf event there. A lot of them renewing a rivalry from out on the West Coast. And get into Saturday, of course, big programs from both Keeneland and Oaklawn. We're going to get to see the rematch, too, between those sprinters, Jason and Whitmore and CZ Rocket. And then on Sunday, we wrap things up. And again, Japan's got a lot of big racing this weekend. A lot of $1 million events. And we'll have more on that coverage coming up a little bit later on. But let's dive right into the races we're going to talk more in depth on as we head to Lexington, Kentucky for Keeneland Racetrack. And on Saturday, they have got the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley. Now, field of 6, Porty, but it's a field of 6 that looks pretty wide open, doesn't it?
It does. It does. So what we're lacking in quantity, we have in quality. And of course, anytime you talk Jenny Wiley, you got to talk Chad Brown, right? He's won 3 in a row, 4 overall, 4 ties in with Billy Mott and the late Bobby Frankel in terms of training victories. And these horses know each other rather well. 3 back from the Matriarch, 2 back from this year's Hillsborough, that at Tampa Bay. And then you got sort of the unknown quantity in Etoile. We know her from these parts, of course, at Woodbine winning the EP Taylor last year. So there's a lot to draw on, even though we just have a field of 6. Let's go back to the Matriarch, and I want to re-examine what took place there. And it's a race that I think Juliet Foxtrot just went way too fast. Take a look at the fractions. They're 22:45. Those are sprinting fractions. They're going a mile. And I love the way she just doesn't toss in the towel here. I mean, yes, she doesn't win, but it's a solid third, beaten to just a half a length. She's the only horse in the field with multiple triple-digit buyers. Doesn't get one on this occasion. Finishes up with a 97, but still, she goes back to a course where she has a win, a second, and a third, that being Keeneland. I talked about the triple-digit buyers. Well, 2 of those at Keeneland. So for me, Juliet Foxtrot, I think she's got a big shot to end Brad Cox's drought in this race. Not a lengthy drought, but he's never won one of these Jenny Wileys. Either has Tyler Gaffleone, so I think they both get off the schneid together. And she's fired fresh before, winning that North American debut. So even though she has yet to race this year, I think she's got a huge shot. Cox has got solid numbers with these layoff types. I think Juliet Foxtrot waltzes on the front end and wins. That's the way I see it. But I'm going to keep an eye, Chad, on Micheline just because it's a cool story. She's a half to Proxy, who's racing on the same card later in the day in the Lexington Stakes, or I guess it should say earlier in the day. So kind of cool there in terms of the lineage. What about you?
I'm going to go to one of those Chad Brown horses, and I'm going to go Tamahir from post position 2. And here's one that's just raced in North America twice, both starts coming last year, but you know what? She was given some time away. I think she's going to come here and fire fresh, just as she did in that first start here. And you know what? As far as the distance, going a mile and a 16th, I think she might appreciate this. So I'm going to go Tamahir, picking up Erad Ortiz again. Chad Brown makes it 4 consecutive in the Jenny Wiley. Will be my prediction. Yes, I think so. I mean, hey, he's got 2 really good shots. And you know, I was just kind of perusing everything on the internet and found some great stuff on the Blood Horse and able to get some great comments here. And Chad Brown talking about both of his starters. First off with Tamahir, my pick, you know, just referring to kind of what happened in Delmar in that Matriarch. And, you know, he kind of just says, you know, he thinks the mile's a little short for her. Turf might have been a little too firm as well, but he's been happy the way she's coming back. She's breezed weekly, hasn't missed anything. You know, every time he's wanted her to work, she did work. And he really thinks she's going to get back on track in this race. So I think he sounds pretty confident about this one. But how about the one we're familiar with here locally too, Jason, in Etoile, who was a winner in the EP Taylor. That was her last race. She's been turned out since then, but with the travel and stuff, he kind of felt it was time for her to recharge her batteries. It says right here she's such a versatile horse. He thinks she can be effective from a mile and a 16th to a mile and a quarter. So probably big plans again for this one. He's got a nice 1-2 punch, you know, from these French breds that he's been able to inherit over the last couple of seasons. And you know, once we get going again at Woodbine, maybe we'll see one of them or both of them up our way.
Yeah, Etoile, yeah, she is, you know, just a hard-trying horse. And, hey, Rushing Fall, won it the last couple of years, same connections. We're talking Javier Castellano, we're talking Chad Brown. Castellano, by the way, if he wins this race, he'll tie Jerry Bailey with 5 Jenny Wileys. But I'm going to go Juliet Foxtrot, as talked about. Third last year to Rushing Fall, no Rushing Fall. Juliet Foxtrot, if she wants it badly enough, she can get it.
You know you're doing well when you tie Jerry Bailey in anything, that's for sure.
There you go.
Let's go over to Arkansas at Oaklawn Park. They've got the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, $1 million up for grabs. Now, you know, didn't get the field we were maybe hoping for. I know they were talking about possibly 8 of them. Roman Centurion was scratched out of, the Santa Anita Derby last weekend. And it looks like, things have not gone the direction they had hoped. He's not in here, but we get the rematch here with Concert Tour and Caddo River, Jason. I know Caddo River was the hype horse last time. I was a little hard on Concert Tour because I thought, he had to work to beat Freedom Fighter. But from what I saw, man, oh man, did he ever come to play?
He did. And I will say this, Just first of all, good to see it back where it belongs on the calendar. Because don't forget, last year, under that COVID climate, this race was split into two divisions on what usually is Derby Day, that first Saturday in May. Bob Baffert still is just Bob Baffert, regardless of where you put this race. Charlatan wins, crosses the line first. We know that Nadal did the same. But here's the key with this race. We've had some really nice horses win it in the past, like American Pharoah, Curlin, even the Canadian Sonny's Halo. You got to be close. 9 of the last 15 winners of this race were within the top 3 at the half-mile pole. These two horses, you're right. Let's go back to the Rebel and show you what took place. And I really feel like Florent Geroux was surprised by Joel Rosario's ride here on Concert Tour. Rosario's got the 7. Florent Geroux's got the inside with Caddo River. And watch Geroux. He thinks, okay, I'm going to get the front. And then he sees Joel Rosario quarter horsing to get to the front. And it's Geroux that cries, uncle. He takes back. This horse is not used to taking back. He doesn't pass horses, Caddo River. So I think Joel Rosario won the race right there by just taking command. Fast forward to the top of the stretch. Caddo River is still chasing Concert Tour. He's not going to pass him. And then watch Caddo River here late in the race. I think he's lucky he didn't get disqualified. He interferes with the horse, and it causes a chain reaction. He didn't get placed. But meanwhile, up front, Concert Tour is just gone. If he gets the same trip on the point again, Chad, I think he's gone. But I'm thinking that things just might be a little bit different this time around because Caddo River, speed is his thing. And I really feel like this time around, they're not going to give Concert Tour the easy lead. And if this is the case, those two go gangbusters up front, just might set it up for Hosier. That was a solid second last time out. I really feel like, he's just warming up to the task. Here's a horse that didn't compete as a 2-year-old, so kind of making up for lost time. If I get the projected pace battle that I'm hoping ensues with Concert Tour and Caddo River, Hosier just might be sitting in the catbird seat. And Bob Baffert, hey, he knows how to win this race, right? That's talked about. So I'll take the other Baffert and Hosier for a surprise.
I believe that Caddo River is going to be better prepared this time for Concert Tour, and you might be right. They might be trying not to allow him to get such an early lead or an easy early lead. I don't know that that's going to matter even if they try, because he is just, as we saw, he's quick out of the gate. It's a short field. He's got post 5. I think he's going to be able to jump right out there. And although the pressure is off of him as far as points, he's got that secured as far as getting into the Kentucky Derby. It's about keeping the momentum. And let's not forget, they're racing for $1 million. Another $600,000 into the bank account, I don't think would hurt either. Not to mention, a nice Grade 1 victory under there. So good rematch with many of them. 5 of 6 from the Rebel coming out of this race. But Caddo River, what will be the game plan? Well, Brad Cox, through Blood Horse again, was saying some great stuff leading into this race, because I was kind of curious what he thought about, his horse and what happened last time. And he just basically looked at it. I mean, some great stuff here. He said he just, we took him out of his game a little bit. He's young, and you can see that too, right? There's some greenness there. But, they believe that he's probably going to get better. And this time, they think it's just maybe wise just kind of let him do his thing. Let him be more free running, as opposed to trying to have him sit up another horse. They just couldn't get him to relax, right? So that's the approach they're going to take here in the Arkansas Derby. And in that instance, I mean, I know Baffert, I was reading some stuff that Baffert mentioned too about Concert Tour. He believes he doesn't have to be on the lead. He can rate. Right. So maybe that'll be the change as well. But we'll see. I know it's a short field, but I think there's still going to be some good fireworks in that Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. So looking forward to that. So those are the main ones here in North America this weekend as we, kind of hype up the Kentucky Derby final weekend of preps. But across the pond, we have got more racing action coming your way. It actually got underway Thursday with the big Grand National Meet. And here's just kind of a taste of what you can look forward to over those 3 days.
This is impressive for Envoy, who wins the Betway Voltage.
As they now run towards the line, and Top One is pulling it out for Tabitha Worsley.
And it's Min by a minute to win the JLT chase. Hard held as Wolf salutes the crowd. Cadmium with 100 yards to cover has an 8-length advantage, and Cadmium runs right to win the top of under Paul Townend.
Tiger Roll is remarkable. He comes up towards the winning line under Davy Russell to win his second Randox Health Grand National.
Aintree in Liverpool. They've got a big week that kicked off on Thursday. Still Friday and Saturday racing action coming your way early in the morning, of course. 9 Grade 1 races over those 3 days, concluding with the 4 1/4 mile Randox Grand National Steeplechase. There's the website for more information, but we go right to the source as well. Racing TVI's Jess Stafford is back to give us her insights.
The 173rd running of the Randox Grand National will take place at Aintree this Saturday. And we were deprived of the race last year because of the pandemic, but it's back and it's better than ever. This race is competed over 6,900 meters. There are 30 fences and 40 horses that will line up for this event. It's always fast and ferocious, and the Grand National fences are super unique. They look like mini mountains that these horses have to go over, but it is always a phenomenal event, super competitive. Sadly, we do not have the dual winner Tiger Roll. His owners have decided to bypass the event this year, but it doesn't mean that we're without a lot of high-class horses. And there are a couple that I'm going to give you that I think could represent a very good chance. The first one is Burrow Saint. He's trained by the champion trainer in Ireland in Willie Mullins. He was a winner of the Irish Grand National a few years ago as a 6-year-old. He's been laid out for this race. He's been well supported and very popular in the betting markets over here, and he could represent a very big chance for the Irish, who've been cleaning up at all of our festivals this springtime. Outside of that, I always like to look for a horse with a bit of value. This race has been won by some huge horses, some horses with huge prices in the past, and that could happen again this year. You never know. You like to have a good spread of prices, and Some Neck, who will be around 50 to 1. He was a winner over the cross-country course at Cheltenham earlier on in the season. He's been rejuvenated since going around that discipline. He chased home Tiger Roll at the Cheltenham Festival last time out. He'll be a big price, but it's worth throwing your darts at plenty in this race because anything can happen, but it will be mighty fun to watch. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back soon to discuss the brilliant Grand National.
Appreciate that, Jess. And hey, we need her help. Are you kidding me? 40 horses? How do you handicap something like that, Jason?
I love it. I love it. It's amazing just to see the spectacle that it is. And I'll be making a few wagers, just a few on HPI.
Oh, I know you will. I know you will. I know you will. No Tiger Roll going for 3 in a row. He raced on Thursday, but yeah, it's still going to be a lot of fun. So don't forget, you can catch all that racing action with Friday and Saturday races left on HPI Bet. Okay, that was Liverpool. Well, now Japan. We know they've got some $1 million events Saturday and Sunday, some big turf stakes races. And again, we're going to leave it to guys that follow it all the time. And we've got a couple of our own homebreds, we'll call them, Klaus Ebner and Robert Reed Jr., to break down the racing action this weekend.
Thanks again, guys. Yes, indeed, it is the Grade 1 Oka Show, the Japanese 1,000 guineas on display this Saturday from Aintree Racecourse in Japan. And Rob, it's the return of the unicorn, Sodashi, if you will, at the Grade 1 Oka Show.
When I was a kid, I was always fond of the gray horses. I loved Admiral's Express and the harness racing scene at Woodbine, who would almost appear white at times on the racetrack. Well, let me tell you something about Sodashi. She is sparkling white, something you'd see out of a fairy tale. And like you said it, she's a unicorn in the sport of horse racing, but she's not just a pretty face. 4 for 4 in her career, 2 for 2 at the distance, and JRA's 2-year-old filly of the year last season. Her win in the Hanshin Juvenile Fillies was remarkable. She faced adversity. She got her nose down on the wire. She finds a way to win, and I think she'll do it again on Saturday night. If you went with one to upset her, I'd go with May Ki Yell. Win a wide trip in that Hanshin Juvenile Fillies race. Finished a fantastic 4th, but she needs to relax. The connections say she's ready to roll, but she can get a little bit tough to handle at times. So what do you think, Klaus?
Yeah, so I too, for my selection, I'm going to go to your main man. That's Christophe Lemaire, but this time he's aboard Satono Reina. So Satono Reina was the unlucky nose loser in that Grade 1 Hunch in Fillies, but he had a trouble trip in that race. He was really earning his money, if you will, for that ride. Had to weave between horses, finally found some room late, and yeah, he had to battle it out with Sodashi to the wire, losing by a nose. But I think, first race back, he deserves a big shot in here. And another one in here who has a very hot jock, and that's Yuga Kawada with Elizabeth Tower. Elizabeth Tower comes in off of a dead heat victory in the Grade 2 Tulip Show, and that's been a key prep for this race. So we'll see if Yuga Kawada can continue his hot streak here in the Grade 1 Oka Show. So again, lots of action this weekend and lots of wagering options this weekend for us, Rob.
So Klaus, not a believer in fairy tales, but join us on Saturday night for a fantastic card of racing action. We have carryovers in both the high five and the pick five in excess of $2,000. We'll see you then.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. And yes, just to recap, Japan Racing on HPI Bet, as we are the North American hub of the Japan Racing Association. Hanshin Racecourse taking center stage this week at $2.2 million in that Grade 1 Oka show. And look at the low takeouts. That is the big attraction. We talk about that with our own products, but there as well, 15% on that early and late pick five and the jackpot high five. And they've got some small carryovers in there as well. But thanks to Klaus and Rob, and we'll let those guys be the night owls. Jason, I know you'll have a radio show to prepare for. You're maybe not going to be up in those wee hours of the morning like those guys are.
No, they've got it covered, so I don't need to add anything more to it, right? They're good. Perfect. All right. That music signals only one thing, and it signals that we're back with a bet now. And I'm happy to report that one of us found some success last weekend. Unfortunately, it wasn't yours truly. It was you, but I'll root for you. That's fine, Jason. That's fine. You can buy the coffee. It was tight.
Was it ever? That's how tight it was. It was heartbreaking because I was willing. I don't think you were willing, but I was willing to allow my horse to win and us both win. You still could have cashed a little bit. I just would have cashed a little more. I mean, I had the try, would have had the win, but yes, you got the nice win. You got a nice exacta there as well. But on paper, it looked like just a 2-horse race, and that's exactly what it was. But this week, we're back with another $25, Jason, into the bankroll. And is it the Grand National that we're going to be using as a race this week? Thank goodness it's not, because 40 horses to choose from. I know you'd be up to the challenge, but let's not. Let's go into the Lexington. It's a small Derby prep. This race used more for horses maybe in other legs of the Triple Crown, kind of a stepping stone for that. Not so much, the upcoming Derby. But for Proxy, Jason, this race, could maybe decide whether or not he decides to go in that big event in 3 weeks.
Yeah, last chance Lexington, as they call it, right? So don't think of it as a major Derby prep. But hey, Charismatic won this race and went on to win the Derby in '99. For me, though, Chad, the key is this. Only 3 horses in the field have won without Lasix, and we know that is the theme this year for these Derby preps. And I'm going to try one of them, King Fury. You got Curlin on the top. You got a multiple stakes winning mare on the bottom. You got a horse that cost a pretty penny back at the sale. McPeak has won this race before 2017 with Senior Investments. So King Fury for me, only horse in the field that has yet to start as a 3-year-old. Can fire fresh, won his debut. So I'm going to put King Fury on top despite the 4.5-month layoff. That will be my play, but I got to include Proxy just because Proxy has never faced an easy group like this before, even though he's been racing strictly at the fairgrounds. And even Swift, sure. Here's a horse that's undefeated for Steve Asmussen. So I'm actually going to box the 2, the 7, and the 9. But my horse for the upset is King Fury. I'm going to try him and just hopefully he gets a good enough trip and can be good enough. I really feel like this race is wide open. Even though Proxy should win it, something's telling me he might just find another way to lose.
You know what? He is clearly the one to beat on paper. And it doesn't look like the Derby's going to be in his future. Connections more or less just want to, they don't feel like they want to beat him up against, 19 other rivals. But they'd love to get a graded win on his resume and work towards something later in the summer. So I like him, but I like him to get picked off late by that undefeated Swift Sure. You know what? Erad Ortiz gets to ride here for Asmussen. The buyers are there. I think he can step it up. I think this horse will be ready to go despite not racing for the last couple of months. So 20 to win on him. And then I'm going to go with a try him over Proxy with a bunch of them in behind Jason. I've got the 1, 3, 5, 6, and 9 to try and get a bit of an exotic wager. Right. So those are our thoughts on the Grade 3 Lexington, the site of this week's Bet Battle. Good luck to you, Porty. And I'd just like to try and find a little bit of momentum going forward. But should be another great weekend. And, off the top of the show, you mentioned our favorite golf tournament of the year. The Masters is underway. And I can't let you go without – hey, we're kind of getting a bit of a jump because we know it's already underway. We see Justin Rose with a big early lead. I'm going to give you a chance right now, though, to give me your pick. Who wins?
Oh, that's so tough. I'm going to go for an outsider. Hideki Matsuyama for a bit of a surprise.
Okay.
You?
All right. I'm going to go Jordan Spieth. After Thursday, he was sitting at 1 under. He's playing so well. He finally got that win. I think he's got a lot of confidence right now. He's a proven winner there, too. I'm going to go Jordan Spieth to keep that momentum going. That's going to do it for another episode of Racing Around the World presented by HPI Bet. Big shout out to everybody who chipped in on the show. Of course, we got some great content from Racing TVI's Jeff Stafford, our own fellas as well, and Robert Reed Jr. and Klaus Ebner as they covered the Japan races this weekend, and some great stuff from the Blood Horse website as well with those quotes. We always have to thank our producer and technical director, Mr. Luke Van Velkum, who does like Hosier as well, Jason. He said Hosier's releasing a new signal coming up, so that's the play for him. But enjoy your weekend, my man. Enjoy the Masters.
You too.
Enjoy the racing, and good luck with that Grand National handicapping. We'll be back next week with another edition of Racing Around the World. Hopefully you tune in as well.